It is one of the most common mix-ups in the world of materials. People look at a gray pavement, a towering block of flats, or a garden path and say, "Look at all that cement." But what they are almost certainly looking at is concrete. The two things, cement and concrete, are not the same at all. In fact, one is simply a single ingredient within the other. Think of it like this. Cement is to concrete as flour is to a cake. You absolutely cannot make a cake without flour, but a bag of flour by itself is certainly not a cake. It needs other ingredients to become the finished product we all recognize and enjoy. So, let's start with a simple definition for each. Cement is a binding agent, a very fine powder that, when mixed with water, creates a paste that hardens and acts like a glue. On its own, it's not particularly strong in a structural sense, but its real magic happens when it binds other materials together. It is the active ingredient, the chemical powerhouse that gives concrete its remarkable strength. Without cement, you would just have a loose pile of sand and stones, which isn't very useful for building a bridge or a skyscraper. This powdery substance is the key to unlocking the potential of other, more mundane materials. Concrete, on the other hand, is the final composite material. It is what you get when you mix cement, water, and aggregates together. These aggregates are essentially sand and gravel, or crushed stone. The cement and water form a paste that coats the surface of every single piece of sand and gravel. A chemical reaction called hydration then begins, causing the paste to harden and bind all the aggregates into an incredibly dense, stone-like mass. It is this final, rock-hard material that we see everywhere in our modern world, forming the foundations of our homes and the motorways we drive on. Therefore, the simplest way to remember the difference is to think about their roles. Cement is the glue. It is the powder that makes everything stick together with formidable strength. Concrete is the entire mixture. The glue, the sand, and the stones all combine to create a versatile and durable building material. When you see a solid, gray structure, you are witnessing the final result of this clever recipe, a material that has quite literally shaped our civilization. You are not looking at cement, you are looking at concrete, a testament to what happens when simple ingredients are combined in just the right way. To truly appreciate these materials, we must look inside them and understand their composition. The recipe for cement, specifically the most common type known as Portland cement, is surprisingly alchemical. It begins with raw materials that are rich in calcium, silica, alumina, and iron. Most often these are sourced from limestone, clay, marl, or shale. These natural substances are quarried from the earth, crushed into a fine powder, and then blended together in very specific proportions. This carefully measured mixture is the starting point for creating the powerful binder that holds our cities together. The real transformation happens inside a giant rotating kiln, a colossal oven heated to staggering temperatures of around 1,450 degrees Celsius. As the raw powder mixture travels through this intense heat, its chemical structure is fundamentally changed. The elements fuse together, forming small marble-sized lumps known as clinker. This clinker is the intermediate product, a hard nodule that holds all the potential energy of the cement. After it cools down, this clinker is ground into an incredibly fine gray powder, and a small amount of gypsum is added to control the setting time. The result is the finished product, the bag of cement powder you can buy at any builder's merchant. Now, to make concrete, we take this magical powder and add the other key components. The recipe for concrete is beautifully simple: cement, water, and aggregates. The aggregates are the fillers, and they are typically split into two categories: fine aggregates, which are usually sand, and coarse aggregates, which can be gravel or crushed stones of various sizes. The proportions of these ingredients are crucial. A typical mix might be about 10 to 15% cement, 15 to 20% water, and 65 to 75% aggregates. The aggregates provide the bulk and volume, making concrete a much more economical material than if it were made from pure cement. The water is the catalyst that starts the whole process. When it is added to the cement, it triggers the hydration reaction I mentioned earlier. This is not simply a case of drying out. It is a complex chemical process where new, interlocking crystalline bonds form throughout the mixture. This crystal network grows around the aggregates, locking them into place and creating the dense, durable matrix of concrete. The strength of the final concrete depends heavily on the ratio of water to cement. Too much water creates a weaker concrete, while too little means the mixture won't be workable enough to place properly. The difference in composition between cement and concrete directly leads to their vastly different appearances and uses. Cement, as we know, is a fine, uniform gray powder. It looks a bit like flour, though usually a darker shade of gray. In this powdery state, it has very few direct structural applications. You would never try to build a wall out of dry cement powder, nor would you use the hardened cement and water paste on its own for anything that needs to bear a significant load. Its primary role is as a binder. It is used to make mortar for bricklaying, grout for filling gaps between tiles, and, of course, as the essential ingredient in concrete. Concrete, in contrast, has a much rougher, more textured appearance. If you look closely at a concrete surface, you can often see the individual pieces of sand and stone, the aggregates, embedded within the smoother, hardened cement paste. Its color is also typically gray, but the shade can vary depending on the specific cement and aggregates used. The texture can also be controlled, from a very smooth, polished finish for a kitchen worktop to a rough, brushed surface for a pavement to provide grip. This composite nature is what you are seeing, a jumble of stones and sand, all frozen in place by the hardened cement glue. The uses of concrete are almost limitless, making it the most widely used, man-made material on Earth. Its incredible compressive strength, its ability to resist being squashed, makes it perfect for foundations, columns, and building frames. It is used to construct dams that hold back immense bodies of water, bridges that span vast rivers, and tunnels that burrow deep underground. We use it for roads, runways, skate parks, and sea defenses. By adding steel reinforcement bars, creating what's known as reinforced concrete, we can also give it fantastic tensile strength, allowing it to be used for floor slabs, beams, and soaring skyscrapers. In summary, their purposes are distinct. Cement is an ingredient, a binder. Its main job is to be mixed with other things. You will find it in a bag, ready to be transformed. Concrete is the final structural product. It is the solid, rock-like material that does the heavy lifting in construction. You will find it holding up buildings, forming our pavements, and shaping the infrastructure of our daily lives. One is a promise of strength in powder form, the other is that promise fulfilled, hardened into a solid and reliable reality. One of the most frequent mistakes people make is using the terms interchangeably, often referring to cement mixers or cement pavements. A cement mixer is, in reality, a concrete mixer. It is designed to tumble cement, sand, gravel, and water together to make concrete. Calling it a cement mixer is like calling a bread machine a flour machine. Similarly, a pavement or a driveway is almost always made of concrete, or sometimes asphalt, another material entirely, not pure cement. A path made only from cement and water would be brittle, prone to cracking, and incredibly expensive for the volume required. Another common point of confusion arises when discussing repairs. Someone might say they need to buy a bag of cement to patch a crack in their concrete steps. While they are on the right track, cement is indeed the active ingredient. They will likely need a pre-mixed mortar or concrete repair product. These products contain not just cement, but also sand and other additives formulated for patching. Using pure cement paste would shrink as it hardens and would not bond well with the old concrete, likely falling out after a short time. The aggregates in a proper repair mix are needed to provide stability and bulk. This misunderstanding can even extend to historical contexts. Many people believe the Romans invented concrete, which is true. They created a remarkably durable form of concrete, using volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. However, people sometimes mistakenly say the Romans invented cement. While they created a type of hydraulic cement, one that hardens underwater. The modern equivalent, Portland cement, which is used for the vast majority of concrete today, was only developed in the 19th century in England. So, while the principle is ancient, the specific material we use today is a much more recent innovation. Ultimately, understanding the difference is more than just being pedantic. It has practical importance. For anyone involved in DIY, construction, or engineering, using the right terminology ensures clear communication and prevents costly mistakes. Ordering a lorry load of cement when you need concrete would result in a very different and much more expensive delivery. Knowing that concrete's strength comes from a careful balance of ingredients helps one appreciate why professionals are so precise with their mixes. It allows us to see the built environment not as a mass of gray stuff, but as a triumph of material science, where a simple powder glues our world together.